Rush Duel is no stranger to nostalgia, porting various Duel Monster and GX era themes from the advanced format here into its own game. By providing unique support only found in Rush Duels, these themes can find new life and strength and have a chance to dominate the meta. In the new advanced set, Devil's Ceremony, we welcome the return of Zera the Mant. Once proclaimed to be one of the strongest monsters, this card gains additional firepower and even an all-new ritual monster to help increase its destructive capabilities. However, can it match up to other ritual decks in the game? It's time to find out. Hello everyone, my name is Protagonist, you can call me Protag, and I'm back with another episode of Rush Review. This is a series where I go over decks and themes to help introduce them to people who might want to learn about Rush, or for those who might want to try something new. We're in a time of increased focus on rituals, with the majority of themes in this set having new ritual cards for their respective decks. So now we just have to see how strong rituals can be and whether or not their dominance can last. But first we need to understand the lore of Zera, the characters that have come before us to summon this great being. Then we have to find more supporters for Zera, cards that can help bring out that fiendish power even sooner. And just because we can summon Zera doesn't mean someone else can't come and take him down. We need to know what or who to look out for to protect Zera from being sent back. So, starting off, we have to talk about the foul fiend himself, Zera the Mant. With 2800 attack and 2300 defense, it can pose an early threat to your opponent. However, it's not a card that can just win games on its own. That's why we also have Zera the Evil Fiend. If you have a normal monster with 1600 attack in your grave during the main phase that you ritual summon this card, you can special summon a non-effect fiend type monster from your grave face up to the field. There are quite a few cards that can fit both of these restrictions, so don't worry too much about it. In fact, the ideal strategy is to first summon a normal Zera the Mant, and once it's destroyed or used in a ritual summon to summon Zera the Evil Fiend, as long as you meet the requirements, you can actually special summon a Zera the Mant back onto the board. Pretty cool, right? Now we have to go back to the very beginning with the Warrior of Zera. Don't freak out too much about the 1600 stats. While it's strong, it's not likely staying on the field for long. In fact, as this warrior continues its quest to find the Archfiend's power, he becomes more battle-hardened and experienced, thus becoming the Wanderer of Zera. You can actually tribute summon this card in attack position by tributing a normal monster with 1600 original attack. It has the effect of allowing you to set a Zera ritual from your grave to the spell and trap zone. A great way to bring back one of your key rituals to summon either Zera once more. We also get the classic Ryukishin powered in Rush as well. This is another normal monster with 1600 attack that can be used for tribute for Wanderer and can be a trigger for Zera the Evil Fiend. However, I still don't know how this becomes this. But don't worry, some older fiends make a return to Rush as well. King of Yami Makai gets a retrain to become Ominous Ogre of Yami Makai. On the main phase that you summon this card, you can send a card from your hand to the grave. Then you can special summon a Wanderer Zera from the grave onto your field in face-up defense position. So this can be a bit easier to summon and will bring back your Wanderer, which then brings back your ritual spell, and you actually have enough levels on board to summon whatever Zera you want. Another card coming into Rush is Wicked Dragon of the Ominous Head. By sending the top two cards of your deck to the grave, you can add an Ominous Ogre of Yami Makai or a Sword of Zera from the grave to your hand. This can be a pretty great card to have in hand to get the Ogre. The Sword, yeah, sure. I just like it for the milling, really. And that's it for the main monsters. But now we can introduce the back row cards that we need to make the deck work. Of course, we need to start with the Zera Ritual spell. This card lets you ritual summon Zera the Mant by sending monsters from your hand and or the field to the grave whose total levels equal 8 or more as material. It is important to note that unlike the Plasmatics that we reviewed before, Zera Ritual is more generic with its materials, meaning you really could put whatever and have it be used for a sacrifice. However, to make the almighty Zera the Evil Fiend, you need Zera Advent to hit the field. With this card, you're able to ritual summon either Zera the Mant or Zera the Evil Fiend by sending face-up monsters from your field to the grave whose levels total 8 or more. Note here that you can only use cards on the field, so just keep that in mind before you make your plays. However, that's not all. While in the grave, Zera's Advent becomes Zera Ritual instead, making it targetable by cards like Wanderer of Zera. What value? To add some more raw power to the deck, equip the Sword of Zera to a face-up Warrior of Zera or Zera the Mant on the field. Then, during the turn, the equipped monster gains a whopping 1000 attack and pierce. I do wish that the effect stays forever and you can give it to some more monsters, but it's still a pretty good asset to have in battle. Zera's Research is another milling card where you send the top two cards of your deck to the grave. Then you can add a level 4 Earth or Dark Normal monster with 1600 attack or a Zera Ritual from the grave to the hand. Grab a monster for some extra bodies for the ritual or either ritual spell to get your Zeras back on the field. Zera the Mant gets their signature move as well in the form of Jagged Claw Attack. If you have a Zera the Mant face up on the field, you can destroy a card on your opponent's board. It's a pretty good card to have for easy removal, but needing the OG Zera can make things a bit difficult. And finally, we have the only native trap card of the deck, Wicked Fire Blast of Zera. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster while you have Zera the Mant on the field, you can destroy a card on their board. Then you can burn them for 1000 life points. And that's it for all the Zera related cards. Zera itself can be a menace, but with limited support, it's always nice to have some allies in the fight for dominance. However, thanks to the generic rituals in this deck, you're actually open to a lot of different combinations of cards and themes. If you're looking for more synergy with 1600 attack vanillas, you can add Elemental Hero Sparkman, but I've started to see some Twitter users try and make dinos work with Zera. They'll put in copies of Crawling Dragon number 2 and Two-Headed King Rex so that you can fuse them together to make Super Cervical Dragon Elas Mortar. This card has the continuous effect of not being able to be destroyed by card effects, and if you have a non-effect dinosaur fusion in the grave, this card gained an additional 1200 attack and piercing. This can be a good way to get another big body on the field, but you will have to fill your deck with fusion and fusion supports like Pliage and Starve at the Beginning and Star Restart. Another deck that uses generic rituals is actually the Magician of Black Chaos deck, which is actually doing pretty well in the meta right now. So there's opportunity there to utilize many of their spells and monsters to help build stronger boards too. I think in an optimal situation, you're just able to churn out rituals almost every single turn. Devil's Ceremony also introduces new monsters that can be used to help rituals thrive even more. The first is Stratohammer Mjolnir. If you have no monsters on your field, you can normal summon this card without any tributes. When you send a different card from your field or the top 2 cards of your deck to the grave, increase the level of a face-up monster on your field by 4 for the turn. So you can use this to mill some more cards and then have this guy be used as material for your own ritual summons. It's an interesting card to be sure. And the card that Konami decides to reveal last for this set, and for good reason, is Lichy the Hopeful. If you have 10 or more cards in your deck during the turn that you normal summon this card, place a monster from your grave to the bottom of the deck. Then you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. But if you put a ritual monster back to meet the initial requirement, you can add one of those 3 cards sent to the grave back to your hand. This is a really strong card for generic ritual decks. Actually, maybe some type-specific ones can run a copy or two. Like mid to late game, this card truly shines. But also, just being able to mill 3 and get any card from those 3? That's just wild. Another good card is actually one of the stars of the Plasmatic deck. Plasmatic Model Lenoir. On the turn that you normal summon this card, send a card from your hand to the grave. Then you can increase this card's level by 4 for the turn. If you haven't drawn a card yet during this main phase, you can draw one. Actually some good synergy here too, since you can curate your hand and give you some possible extension. For legend spells, you can go in 2 main directions. The first is obviously card draw. Graceful Charity is ideal here since you can get cards in your hand while also sending key ones to the grave that can be recycled by your other cards. But I also think back row removal is really good here too. Giant Trunade or even Harpy's Feather Duster are my top picks. It just depends on how you think your opponent can play. If they need more cards in hand, use Trunade to stunt their draw power. If not, Feather Duster them away to maintain advantage. With legend traps, I've started to lean towards Compulsory Evacuation Device simply because you need to remove threats. Like, let's be real, you're not hitting over them. The Mirror Forces are also good picks here too. It really just depends on what deck you're playing against. If I had to choose one, I'd prefer Drowning Mirror Force to bounce more monsters back if possible. You might have also noticed that removal can be a bit difficult since most of the in-theme cards need Zera the Mant on the field to work. That's why Genie's Fire Breath is a great alternative or addition to the deck as well. As long as you have a face-up fiend monster on your board, you can return a spell or trap card from your opponent's field to their hand. Sure, it can come back next turn, but that's a potential threat gone from your current turn, and that can be the difference between victory and defeat. And so, what are the other weaknesses of the mighty Zera? Well, both Zeras are easy to remove. Much like most of the other ritual boss monsters that we've encountered so far in Rush, they usually lack the critical protection that many other monsters might have. That means cards like Mirror Force and Evac are huge threats to your board. Also, the native removal in this deck is kinda rough. Both Jagged Claw Attack and Wicked Fire Blast of Zera specifically need Zera the Mant to be on the field to activate. And both of them just destroy cards, which, can be fine, but if your opponent has destruction prevention on the board, then what? And so with all of that in mind, here's the deck that I'm using today. Welcome to Zera Execut. I'll admit, this is what happens when I cook too much. As you can see, I'm running 2 specific Executes, Lumiere and Lilius. While Lumiere has a decent ability to bounce back certain cards when they discard a level 6 on the field, both her and Lilius floodgate my own board. So then, you might be wondering, why would I ever want to run these? Well, the answer is quite simple. Both of them being level 6 means that I can use them to remove any straggling level 4 monsters that I have on the board. The levels can also pair well with any level 4 to surpass the level requirement for either ritual spell. And finally, Executing Lumiere and Lilius can contact fuse to become Executing Lumiere Frontier. On the turn that this card was special summoned, you can choose a face-up monster on your opponent's field and send it back to the deck. This was very much needed in this deck where removal was only in the form of destruction, which can easily get bodied by cards like Fleeting Delirium Monsters that can protect from destructive effects. I also have the Goat Shiny Shady for some extra disruption, and Heartless Hound Martial Master Prime Shiba mainly for the levels. Looking back, I could have added Prime Diane Keto instead because I could at least recover life points, but hindsight's 2020 and all that. So then, now let's see how I can perform. The first duel that I have is against Plasmatics, and neither of us start that well. I play in Lumiere and try and get something with Zera Research, getting Zera Ritual, and unfortunately, that's it. I get set 2 cards and pass. Thankfully, it seems my opponent also didn't have too good of luck. They play Lenoir, discarding Blau to an open, using it to get a Listella. Then they use Bolt Griffin to discard their Owl to miraculously draw a second open, getting Bunniper. Then they activate Listella's effect to discard the Griffin to remove a back row, which, whatever, it was fine. After sending a card, they pass back. And holy, what a draw. I play Zera Ritual using Lumiere and Ryukishin Power to make Zera the Mint. Then I play my own Lenoir, discarding the second Zera Ritual and drawing a Zera the Wanderer. Then I use Zera Advent, sacrificing my Lenoir to make Zera the Evil Fiend. And then I use its effect to bring back the Ryukishin Powered. This then lets me special summon Wanderer and use its effect to bring back Zera Ritual, which I then use to make another Zera the Mant. After equipping the sword and attacking through, it's their turn. My opponent also has hands though, as they play Lenoir and use Docking to get a Rising Lenoir. Then they have Horse, which lets them do this all over again to make a second Rising Lenoir, which does kind of suck. They set 1 and remove the Strap Zera and the Evil one. Honestly, I think they should have attacked the other one, but it doesn't really matter. I play Zera Ritual and use my Lumieres to make a Zera the Mant again. And to no one's surprise, I Zera Advent to make Evil Zera to bring back the OG Zera, and, well, it's GG's. Now let's try this again, but with Harpies. My opponent has all 3 Harpy Lady cards and used them to contact fuse into Harpy Lady 1, 2, and 3, which is wild. But thankfully, the follow-up was just set to pass. But thankfully, my hand was also amazing. I contact fuse Lumiere Frontier and bounce the big Harpy away. Then I have Zera Ritual to make Zera the Mant using Wanderer, and it's going to be equipped with the sword. I go in for the attack, piercing with Zera and directly attacking with my Executing. Next, my opponent uses Ghost Cyclone to remove the equip and draws a new card. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like they have a good play, so it's set for a pass. And wow, just another beautiful hand. I go Ryukishin Powered into Wanderer to bring back Zera Ritual to summon the OG Zera. I equip the sword again and just hoping nothing was a good trap card, which there wasn't, and there you go, great win. It was a great win, but I still lost the overall match, so, take that as you will. Anyway, that's it for our rush review for Zera the Mant. This deck can have some cool moments, times where you can fill your entire board with Zeras, but I don't think that this deck will perform too well against the meta. There's just not enough threats and removal to make this deck feel good. I obviously wouldn't be surprised if we got more support in the near future, so I'll just bide my time and wait to see what happens. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to the channel. If you want to suggest future Rush reviews, let me know in the comments below, and I would appreciate it if you liked the video and shared it with your friends, if they might be interested in Rush. Fingers crossed, and let's see how accurate all of this is. Once again, this is Protagonist signing off for tonight, and I will see you all next time. Peace.